It's been such a long time that we've done a live stream, but yeah, it's real. This is the real deal, baby. I'm out. I am done. Peace, Airbnb. Goodbye. Bye, Felicia. But still, you gotta pay me my money. And Airbnb family, I kind of want to celebrate this with you because I've accomplished what all of us hope to accomplish in this business, which is to fire myself. And so until the end of this year, if everything goes well, I have quit my business and I'm about to go to Burning Man. And I can tell you it's going to work because I just spent a week in Scottsdale working on a new property and crickets in my phone. I've got everything set up. It's working. I took like 7 months off last year. It was a little too much time off and I did it preemptively and some things were breaking and falling apart. Before then, I took like over a 2-year stretch off and that really hurt my business. And I've learned a lot of lessons on automating and I want to share with you my recipe for automation for the next like 3-4-ish months because I'm stoked to not have to answer guest messages. And I'll tell you what, the only guest that I talked to this week was one that tried to threaten to ruin my reputation on Airbnb. And so I sent Airbnb a message going, you see this? That's coercion, baby. That's not allowed. And I'd like you to ban this guest. And then the guest tried to like send me messages like, are you going to give me a refund or not? I'm like, you know, you're probably going to get banned on Airbnb or whatever. And I made him a custom meme because he wanted to like try to like jab at me. So I posted on Instagram a meme about like listening to guest BS stories only to enforce your cancellation policy anyway. Because what happened is I have a moderate cancellation policy. He canceled a 12-day stay 2 days into his reservation. And I was able to like enforce my reservation, like my cancellation policy. He got like half of his money back, but he wanted all of it. And so I made him a pretty savage meme and I made him watch it. And that's the only guest communication I had this week. I'm a bit of a troll, as you guys know. So anyway, let me tell you everything that I'm doing to automate my business while I take 4 months off. And this was inspired because my buddy Serge here from Burning Man, he asked me how I did it. We just had dinner tonight before I started my drive up to Burning Man to start build. And I gave him an info dump. And I want to give you the same info dump because it's good stuff. So like the video, maybe, and let's get to rocking. So the first thing I told him that I think I've told you guys before, if you've been here a long time, we've talked about this years ago, is like check-in redundancy. We need multiple. Hey, what's up, Luke? Good to see you. Sorry, I'm going to say hi to people in the live stream. You're going to have to deal with that. So what's up, Luke? So we need multiple check-in options or we need check-in redundancy. So as I was trying to explain to him, like if you've got a lock on the front door that they need a key, you need 2 keys and 1 key is in one lockbox and 1 key is in another. So if lockbox number 1 breaks, plan B is a second lockbox. If you got a big house and you got a front door code and that code's not working because the batteries are out, then there needs to be a garage they can open, a back door they can open, or you need a hard key in a lockbox somewhere. So that way, if plan A for check-in breaks, there's a plan B for check-in, right? That's number 1. And then I'm using Guesty now to automate message threads. It's not clickbait. I'm literally not going to touch Airbnb for 4 months. I just said I'm quitting Airbnb again. And all of us, that's what we want to do is we want to quit our business, right? We want to go passive. And so I am going passive for the next 4 months. I am quitting my business, which is a phrase people use in the space. That's what they do. So you can be upset and you can unsubscribe, okay? You don't need to be here. So secondly, I'm using Guesty to create automated message threads, which is when somebody books last minute, we've got a message thread that has like your last minute check-in information, blank, 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 quick stuff. If somebody books 4 weeks in advance, we've got a completely different message experience. If somebody's staying for 1 day or for 3 days, different message experiences, right? So having these different message experiences allows us to have guests feel like they've got a customizable, honest, like hyper individualistic conversation that's really attuned to them. So it doesn't really feel very body, right? Then third, the thing that I did this time, because when I took 7 months off last year, everything that broke down, I have overstocked all of my supplies. in one of my buildings, I put like a wall locker system, and I got the building to give me permission in the basement. We've got 3 months of supplies, including a spare TV. If a TV breaks or gets stolen, maintenance could just put a TV on the wall, and it's already connected to the internet for the building. And that building has the same name Wi-Fi for every unit. So it doesn't matter if apartment 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 has a TV break. That TV is already locked into the Wi-Fi. Guy just mounts it on the wall, plugs it in, and everything's like logged in. That's pretty cool. Another thing that I did, and this is one that like I've had to walk back, I guess, because I love lots of doors, and one of my biggest mistakes over the last 4 or 5 years is I've had ugly doors, and ugly doors lead to like last minute guests, bad guests, cheap guests. So for the last 3 or 4 months, I've spent, gosh, a ton of time adding really cool amenities like the pianos you guys saw, repainting the spaces to be as killer as I could get these to be, so that way when I'm gone, the Airbnb guests that we get and the VRBO guests, we've got a good amount of VRBO lately. The Airbnb and VRBO guests that we get are higher quality, longer lead time guests. They're less problematic. They fight us over stuff less, which means that my team doesn't have to deal with weird situations as much. Better properties get better guests, and better guests are honestly easier to automate. So back when I ran this thing like 100-hour weeks, like 3 or 4 years ago, before I took my first 2 years off, sure, a bunch of cheap apartments is great, and like dealing with guests on a daily basis, having a hyper hands-on team, that works. And I did automate more than 100 doors with a hyper hands-on team, but they ended up overworked too. And yeah, one of the final like elements of passivity in this space is that my team knows everything that they need to know. And it goes all the way down to the housekeeping team too. So because I've spent the last 4 months meeting with my housekeeping team, walking them through stuff, they know that we're there. And I've trained my local management teams to do like remote walkthroughs with the housekeeping teams and keep like a hands-on relationship with them. Housekeeping quality has gone up like 5-fold because they know that we're around. And housekeepers are communicating damages, like fast repairs and stuff like that. So now the housekeeping, believing that maintenance is hands-on, they're cutting less corners. And so now my local team is able to deal with these housekeepers like on my behalf and like do these remote walkthroughs and these follow-ups to make sure the housekeepers are getting their job done. So I have centralized customer service. The centralized customer service only has to deal largely with Hail Mary moments. But the Hail Mary moments we've all planned for, like problems with checking in, problems with Wi-Fi, problems with supplies. We've identified every bottleneck where somebody has to solve a problem, and we've created an easy to reach for solution. So my localized teams have every possible like weird scenario that we can imagine already planned out in SOP where they can go solve the problem really fast. Housekeeping team believes that management is right there with them. And then that allows me, a combination with Guesty automating these messages and requests for reviews and stuff, that allows me to disappear for 4 months. And so yes, I'm excited to say I'm not going to have to work on my Airbnb business. I didn't for this last week. I painted all those paintings you guys saw on Instagram. And I'm going to be at Burning Man for a week building a city. And I'm going to be in Burning Man for a week feeding people. And then I'm going to Lake Tahoe for a friend's birthday. Then I'm going to Oregon. And then I'm going to the Redwood Trees. And I'm going to fly to Mexico City for Guestival, that event that Guesty's throwing. I'm not touching my Airbnb business. So it's going to be awesome. Now, I think some of you guys have some questions. I hope I can actually answer some of them for you. So this is going to turn into a bit of a Q&A. For any of you guys who do have questions, before I ultimately call it a night, you could probably tell I'm a little bit ragged. I really just got done 5 days of painting at these Scottsdale properties. David, I will see you at Black Rock. That's going to be super fun. Main issue, me subleasing, buying furniture, and some a whole leave 2-star reviews, and my listings are getting removed. Well, I have 6 months of my lease. Flag City. Now, the question I have for you is, what is causing these 2-star reviews? Because in my experience, and trust me, I've got tons of 1-stars and 2-stars, lack of communication is usually a thing. Like if we've got a maintenance problem, like there's a hole in the ceiling from like AC leaking, if we tell a guest in advance, hey, this ceiling started leaking because the AC broke, we had to cut a hole in the ceiling, we patched it with something white, just so it's kind of cosmetic, here's the repair schedule, and here's how it's under control. People have like survived the weirdest maintenance issues. So the main way to get a bad review is to just kind of be absent. Like once a guest feels like you don't care, you're dead in the water. That's the biggest thing. So any of your shortcomings that are leading to your 2-star reviews, we really need to communicate ahead of time. Hey, I know that this is not going to be as good as you want. I want to communicate this is probably not up to your expectations, and I'm here for you to try to work through that. And since you have 2-star reviews, those 2-star reviews should tell you exactly what you're not doing well, and you can fix those. Now, if your location's trash, you need to write in your listing, this location is super loud, this is an upcoming neighborhood, X, Y, and Z, right? That's the best way for you to handle that. Communication on the front end, manage expectations, your 2-star reviews will absolutely go away. I wish I could host an Airbnb at Burning Man. That would be pretty darn sick. My bus is going, but I haven't put the bus on Airbnb yet. So that is not yet going to happen. And I'm not going to put the bus on Airbnb probably until next year. I got a lot of other repairs to do. The AC units aren't staying cool inside because the roof and the floor are both metal, and the generator in the bus heats the floor. So even though the AC is working, the floor gets hot and it kind of cancels it out. So I need to lay a new floor for it to work. Flag City, yes, cleaning, shortcutting. If your cleaners are cutting corners, then what I want you to do is I want you to make them send you photos, and you need to check every photo. Go through the photos and start asking questions about the photos. What's going on with this photo? This doesn't look clean enough. And if you are local, go follow up behind them and go take photos of what they're doing wrong. If you catch your housekeepers not doing their job, then you need to find new housekeepers if they don't correct it. And to be married to one vendor, like one housekeeping company, like Acme Housekeeping, if they know that you need them, they'll cut corners all day. But if there's Acme and then there's Omega and maybe like commercial cleaning company, you have 3 different housekeeping companies, and they know that you could go to any other cleaner, there's going to be one that wants to win your business through quality. And you need to find a housekeeping company that will win your business through quality. That's a big thing. So thank you. I appreciate that. I'm here to teach. That's what I like to do. So sorry, one person says they're done. ThinBev, I've been in business as a super host for 12 years. I'm done with Airbnb as well. Airbnb has made my business miserable. I'm getting out of the business. Well, ThinBev, you should do like me, man. If you can step away, there's a book, The 4-Hour Work Week. That's where I really got this from initially. The 4-Hour Work Week says, don't just take a weekend off. Don't just take a week or 2 weeks off. Take a full sabbatical, because if you can step away from the things that you do for such a long time that you would like to come back to what you do, then what's the phrase? Then you can actually like come back grateful for your profession, your career, whatever, and you come back with new, fresh ideas. And I really stand by that, right? When I disappeared for 6 or 7 months last year, from Burning Man until January, we're talking early August until January, I was in my bus. When I got back to Dallas, I just started working on properties. That's why the Dalmatian room exists. My red room with the grand piano exists. That's why my purple one, the brown one that's got perfect 5-star reviews that I never thought would be guest favorites. It's just a brown room, but everybody likes the fact that it's brown on brown for some reason. All of these like design styles came because I finally had enough energy to do something, right? But I had to take a long time away, work on myself, and come back. So if you hate Airbnb right now, maybe take a vacation. That's probably going to be what's best for you guys. You know, Rob Bilton and I probably do secretly like each other. We're both creators in the space. And you know, a little playful tension is good. I think having a bit of playful tension is good for the people who feel like they need it, right? You know, maybe we'll go kickboxing or something. We'll have like a celebrity death match. They'll make clay figurines of us and we'll go at it in like old school MTV style one day. That'll be fun. Yeah. Well, I am quitting, Lisa. I'm not going to touch an Airbnb for 4 months. I'm quitting for 4 months. And of course, that phrase, people say you need to quit your business. You need to quit your business, right? Work on your business, not in your business, right? And yeah, we need to get to a point that we can step away and say, I'm done. You guys have everything you need, run it. Because if you guys heard my story from way back in the day, when I built my first 7-figure business, I didn't take a single day off for 4 years out of fear. I was afraid that if I stepped away at all from any of my sales teams, that the sales teams would stop selling, we'd run out of cash, and we'd lose our contracts. I was deathly afraid of things falling apart. And my buddy Serge here, the one I just had dinner with, that asked me about all these things that I just told you guys for automation. For any of you who are late to this live stream, I just gave my whole automation recipe in like the first 5 minutes of this video, so replay that. Well, Serge, the reason why we're talking about automation, he's just launched a company called Pallet Rangers. And let me tell you, for my Scottsdale luxury property, I got a $7,000 couch from this man for $750. This Lovesac couch he got liquidation had a $4,000 sound system in it, and he got it and sold it to me for $750. So he's in pallet liquidation. It's nuts. But he's afraid because he's such a big warehouse. He's got 12,000 square foot warehouse. He's afraid that if he leaves and takes any vacation, that they're going to get more and more product because they commit to taking these shipments, and they're not going to sell enough in time, and they're going to overflow or something. So he's really, but he just got done working 14-hour day today, and he's afraid of taking any time off because it's a new business, and he just doesn't feel like he's under control enough. And how many of you relate to that? You don't feel like you're under control, or that your business is under control enough, and you're just like swimming, right? Guests are always changing, Airbnb's always changing, the landscape's always changing, whatever. Here's the truth. No one's got it under control. If you have a hard time with something, your competitors do. If your guests are shitty to you, your guests are shitty to your competitors. If Airbnb's changing things for you, they're changing things for your competitors. And that means that everybody you know in this space is going through it the same way that you are. And the thing that you can do is identify anything that sucks for you as this global variable that sucks for everybody. And if you can identify that, then you can start to build your business to be able to like work through those things or bypass them, right? So like I just told you guys that like better properties get better guests are easier to automate. That's me trying to bypass a problem in this industry so that way I can take 4 months off, right? But I also have scripts inside of my company. Let's say we fail a guest, right? We screw up so bad. Or even if it's not your fault, I had a guest at a pool. This was last week. I had a guest at a pool, and one of my neighbors got hyper racist. This Latino family was just grilling at the pool, and this guy was like, "You shouldn't be here," and started swearing and like cursing at the kids and being super racist to this family. And instead of saying like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," not like that. I instead am super complimentary. I'm like, "Wow, I can't believe how well you handled that. I want him, can you point me to where I can talk to this guy? I would really like to talk to him." But I go back to being complimentary. The way you handle that and the way you handle the AC problem, you are a champ. I'm hyper impressed. You inspire me. Me saying you inspire me to an Airbnb guest that we let down, they feel so good. Because I want you to understand there's a psychology of some people. Some people will play it cool when something goes wrong because they don't want to inconvenience you, right? But then you don't reward them by telling them how amazing they are. You don't give them what they're secretly hoping for, and then they leave you a 3-star review. But if you let them down and something breaks or screws up, and then you compliment them and tell them that they're so great and it means so much how they treated you through this hardship you just went through with them, they'll leave you a 5-star review because you made them feel amazing. And that's the only reason why they were like laissez-faire in the first place. They don't like conflict, and they just want everybody to feel good so that way they can feel good. So I've got bypasses, like better properties get better guests, but we've got scripts for failure in the business. And that is an example of working through the suck. So if you want to quit Airbnb because everybody else, because Airbnb is getting too hard or whatever, you're not the only one, right? And if you can build your business to work through the suck or to bypass the suck, that's really the secret to really making a banging business in this space, guys. Great housekeeping tips. Thank you. There's 5 steps in my cleaning system. If you guys want more housekeeping tips, we first do an inspection of sheets, right? We do a sheet count. We look for rips or stains. Second, we do an inspection of the whole home, wellness check. Third, we clean. Fourth is my 4 mantras of step 4, but that's super secret for my students only. And 5 is like the self-assessment, walk through, take photos, and lock it up. The 5-step cleaning system makes sure that our housekeepers don't get out of line and cut corners, because the housekeeping isn't just a cleaning. It is a turnover. We need to do inventory and wellness check. And that's why the first 2 steps aren't even cleaning. Yes, I am just taking a break. For 4 months, I'm quitting, guys. I know. I need to stop being so like hyperbolic in my thumbnails. But I'm quitting again. It's funny. My gym split, I do deadlifts once every other week. I do squats once every other week. And then my splits are, I'll do arms, then I'll do chest, then I will do back, then I will do shoulders, and then I will do legs. But my leg workout changes, and my back workout changes based on whether I'm doing squats or deadlifts that week. That's my gym split. It's very fun. And I also only eat for like 4 to 6 hours a day. I intermittent fast, and I usually start eating at 3. So that's my thing. Where do I find my housekeepers? Lisa, that's a fun question. This is going to scale, okay? Initially, you work with housekeeping companies. One of my favorite things to do, though, is I like driving around at 9 a.m., going to hotels, Like the ones that are outside, you know, the 2-story ones where they have to push their cart outside, like the shitty hotels no one likes. You go walk up to a housekeeper who's pushing the cart outside, walk up and say, hey, thanks for everything. If you say thanks for everything, they think that you stayed there, right? And you go, hey, you look like you're great at your job. And, you know, I just figured you might know other people who'd want to do housekeeping too, like to get in the space. And, you know, I know you already have a job, but I've got some Airbnbs down the street that we're looking for some housekeepers for. So can I give you my phone number? If you know anybody, maybe you can send them my way. You're actually trying to recruit this person, but you're using this HR technique that they'll use to recruit high-performing engineers in the tech space. And you follow up 4 or 5 days later and say, hey, so great meeting you at the hotel. All right, you say at the hotel because they'll know what hotel, even though you don't because you did this at 10 hotels. Great meeting you at the hotel. Have you thought of anybody who might be looking for, you know, housekeeping work? And they'll go, oh, no, I haven't. And then you'll follow up with, well, okay, we are doing an $800 or $500 or $1,000 referral bonus. If you refer us anybody, we'll give you $1,000. And then a lot of times they'll go, can I refer myself for the $1,000? And you got them. That's one of my favorite ways to recruit a housekeeper. I've got a few of them. And the reason why I've got so many recruitment techniques to hire housekeepers and VAs is because when I hired in the newspaper industry, imagine trying to get somebody to take a job, full commission, to work at a grocery store selling newspaper subscriptions. Nobody wanted that job. Nobody wanted that job. So we had to think long and hard on what people would take the job. So I've got a whole day boot camp. I've recorded it. I did this masterclass day-long boot camp called Clean Team Dream Team. If you guys want access to Clean Team Dream Team, then send me a DM on Instagram. And we just have refused to sell it because only 5 people showed up to the masterclass. It's super highly valuable. One of the guys of the 5 that joined, he started saving like $8,000 a month on housekeeping, right? It's really valuable stuff, but nobody really wanted it, so we never sold it. It will save you a ton of money in housekeeping if you want to learn my ground up housekeeping tricks. So this has been fun, guys. Do you guys know the reason why I've been on YouTube every day? I'm doing a 30-day challenge to make a long form video every day. And one of my things is I'm trying to be more normal on camera, right? I find there's a lot of performativeness or pretension that I'm trying to work through too, because I've got some false assumptions about you guys. Like, I feel like half the time I don't know who you guys are. And I feel like half the time you guys don't know who I am. I'm like a teacher, I teach Airbnb, but does anybody give a shit about me? I don't know. I've got through like a little existential tunnel as a creator. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a video every day for 30 days. And at one point, I'm just gonna have to get in front of the camera and give you guys some value. Tell you like how I think the world works, tell you how my business works, instead of performing through it. And maybe I'm still performing through it. This could all be a performance, right? But it's cool to hang out with you guys live. I'm actually having a blast with these. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's midnight Central Time Zone. If you're East Coast, it's 1 a.m. That's pretty wild. I'm driving to Vegas tomorrow, and then I'll be at Burning Man in 3 days. And this is only day 24 of the video every day. So hopefully tomorrow or the next day, when I give you guys a cool video, it's gonna be in a very beautiful place in the middle of like the Mojave Desert or something. It'd be super sick. And I need to tell you about one bit of drama. The Scottsdale property has a fail. It has an epic fail. Last night it rained super hard, which set us back on building some stuff. And I had to finish the wall mural before this morning. And I painted my very first wall mural outside, because you know your boy's an artist. You can see the paint on the shirt. I painted a wall mural. And even though there's no HOA at the Scottsdale property, the neighbor in the back, I guess, complains about everything. And we have to paint over my wall mural that I spent 4 days painting. So it's super sad. I got to look at it for like an hour, and we're gonna have to paint over it. So, c'est la vie. The struggle is real in the Airbnb space. If you guys have a question, like one, I mean, I want to do videos for those of you who don't have a property. So if you don't have a property, speak up. But I want to do videos for those of you who have like 2 properties or 1, and you don't want any more properties, but you want something to do better. I want you to speak up. And then the rare few of you who've got like 5 or 10 properties and you want 100, I would love to hear from you guys too, right? I realize that I can represent so much content, but I need to know who's here. So if you have no properties or if you have 1 property, tell me so I know who's listening. Because if all of you had no properties, I'll make videos for people with no properties. If all of you have just a couple and you're trying to optimize your little business, I'll make videos for you. If all of you are swinging for the fence and want to make $1 billion, then I'll make the content for you guys. Because you guys that are here are the most important people. And even though making a video every day on 4 hours of sleep, doing everything else that I do as a business owner is a little hard, I really do love it, as you guys hopefully can tell. So with that said, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. And 5 going on 7, love it. 3, okay, we've got a lot of like small, medium businesses. And there's a book, I think I mentioned a lot of times, called The Leadership Pipeline. It talks about like the different like functional elbows. I did a video way back in the day about the 7 parts of a business. Man, that's like 4 or 5 years old. I think that's a video we should do next, guys. I need to give you a flyby on the 7 main parts of a business, because some of you guys know what accounting is, or some of you guys might know what sales is, but you might not all know all 7. And if you own an Airbnb business, you're doing all 7 and you don't even know it yet. So I'm going to link that old video to the end of this one for anybody who catches us too late, but I will make you a fresh one for 2025. And guys, this was fun. It is my bedtime now. I'm going to be up at 6 a.m. when the sun rises and get back to work, which gives me like 7.5 hours of sleep. And maybe I'll hit the gym too before I get to Burning Man. I love you guys. This has been so fun. I will not be touching my Airbnb business for 4 months, and I'm fucking excited to take some time away from managing and dealing with guests. So I am proof that you guys can do it too, because there's so much that I did wrong. And now that I did everything wrong, I'm going to tell you what I did wrong, and you can use it. So ask me those questions, and we'll hit it hard. Thank you, guys. I will see you on the other